Oxygen is essential for human life, transferred to the blood by the lungs, a miraculous organ that enriches the blood with oxygen while eliminating carbon dioxide. The lung is an amazing system that includes almost 1,500 miles of airways and 600 million spherical alveoli to facilitate the exchange of gases to the blood through permeable capillaries. When pneumonia or other disease compromises lung activity, we feel it. I think when a patient can't breathe, that's the focus of their attention. A terrible, suffocating feeling. And of course, that's the time when having the skills to change that for the patient for the better is truly a blessing.
Breathing is one of the most important things that we do. My research career has been focused on pneumonia for the last 20 years. Pneumonia makes up the 7th or 8th most common cause of death, even in the United States. And we've made great progress in understanding better how pneumonia develops, what the organisms are.
Dr. Dean's research has really focused, I think, on how we can treat pneumonia with protocols and standardized approaches. His research has been presented both nationally at the major thoracic meetings as well as internationally at International Respiratory Society meetings. Patients benefit tremendously from the research performed here at Intermountain.
I'd had what I thought was a cold, but I had a real tightness in my chest, and so my breathing was labored. We went to an Instacare, and they put the little monitor on to test my saturation, and they said, "This can't be right." And there was some shuffling in and out, and then they came in and basically said, "We've called an ambulance for you. You are too sick, you gotta go to the hospital." And I was scared.
Janet is a school teacher who came in and she had a pneumonia, bacterial pneumonia, and developed severe respiratory failure where she had to be on the ventilator, and this went on for several weeks, and her life was really in balance for much of that time.
During this process, there was a time where I was concerned that she wouldn't be with me.
Back when I was an intern, she probably wouldn't have survived because we didn't know about how to use the ventilator as well. We didn't know how to manage the volume and other aspects of critical care.
And talking to Dr. Dean and others, their research helped a lot in her situation and is probably why she's here.
I love the research, I love the data, but it's wonderful to be at the ground level with a patient who I get to know and think that some of the work that we've done may have contributed to her getting well and now being back teaching.
James had come home from a business trip and had a cough, and the cough didn't go away. We went to his doctor, they did a chest x-ray, and we went down to St. George for the spring break weekend. And we got a phone call while we were down there from the radiologist and said, there's appears to be a mass in his chest and you need to get to the doctor.
James and his parents were petrified because they knew they had a big mass in the lungs, and the first thing people think about with a mass in the lungs is cancer.
The reaction is fear. You think about your children, your spouse.
I think the scariest part was having to tell our kids. And that kept us up at night. We'd lay awake at night and hold each other and console each other as we cried and talked about, the what ifs, and prayed that, that day wouldn't come.
I think absolute fright set in for the whole family, but I just remained positive that if we searched hard and found the right people to get the right treatment, that there is always hope.
We were able to reach out to Lori Piscopo at Amicus, and she was able to hook us up with Dr. Dean. You just knew it from the moment you met him, that he's just a caring individual. And we knew that no matter what, he was there to help us. He provided us the knowledge to search and fight through this.
The prognosis going into surgery was, once we get this out, then we'll be able to really tell what it is we're facing. James came out of surgery. 4 or 5 days later, we found out this isn't cancer at all. And at that point, so much relief came from it.
Dr. Dean explained what they had found, and that it indeed was unicentric Castleman's disease and not cancer. But I could describe it as a halo above his head delivering this news to us.
If you've ever been in a position when you can't breathe comfortably, you can't seem to get a breath, it is such a marvelous feeling to have that issue addressed, and all of a sudden, you can actually breathe. It's like someone has just almost saved your life. In some instances, they have. We want to make sure that we can offer the best possible advances in medical care and treatment because we have such a fabulous research staff. We give them a little bit so they can get started, and it's just amazing what happens.
The Intermountain Research and Medical Foundation has been a key partner in my research, and so I'm very grateful to the foundation for the help that they've given.
First of all, it's friend raising. If you have a friendly relationship with people, it's so much easier to just start talking about what could be done. And I'm often surprised to see that people say, well, you know, I'd like to be involved in that.
Dr. Dean saved my life. Basically, the moment I got off the plane, I felt terrible. I was on a ski trip in Deer Valley. We went into one of the acute care centers there. They said, you have influenza B. And they told me basically you're just going to feel like the worst you've ever felt in your life. The next day just felt like I wasn't going to make it. They rushed me to Salt Lake City, to the hospital. There, Dr. Nathan Dean and his team diagnosed me with pneumonia. And those 9 days, you know, pivotal moment in my life. I guess in a weird sort of way, I was lucky. If I weren't in Salt Lake during this time, who knows what would have happened. I have a family of 5, 3 little girls, 1, 3, and 5. So definitely want to give back every year of my life for the rest of my life, and this is one way that I can do that. The Alcatraz Shark Fest swim, it's a swim from Alcatraz to Aquatic Park, 1.5 miles, 59 to 60 degree water. Last year I raised a couple $1,000s, and I will be swimming again this June, and we'll hopefully raise even more money funding the excellent research. It saved my life, and I think, you know, all the research going forward will help to save many more lives.
The initial work is really dependent upon the seed grants from the Intermountain Research and Medical Foundation. And so I'm very grateful to the foundation for the help that they've given.
If you took away the body of knowledge that's come out of research supported by the Deseret Foundation, now Intermountain Research and Medical Foundation, the world would have less knowledge of disease, of processes of care, of how to provide the best care at the bedside. This organization has contributed discovery research. It's provided randomized trials that tell us what best practice is, facilitated by the research supported by the Intermountain Research and Medical Foundation.
You can't continue medical research at the level at which we are now operating without a continuing fund basis. And we're on the cusp of so many fabulous medical discoveries. These individuals are determined to make a difference, and they're not going to waste the funds.
It saves people's lives.
It means that I have all of my kids.
If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be here today.
The doctors have told me that just as early as 10 years ago, I for sure wouldn't have survived. That's what I owe my life to, is that research that has been done.
Thank you for the research and the donations to allow these doctors like Dr. Dean to search till there's answers and find things that change people's lives. It means a lot when you receive that kind of a gift.
And to be given a gift back, such as the life of your son, there's no value you can put on that. That's the purpose, is to give what we have to help others.
These doctors receiving this funding and donations from people like you is priceless to people like us.